You know, basketball for me was the most important thing.
You know, I loved everything about it, like the smell of the ball.
You love the smell of the ball?
Yes, the ball. You know, the smell of like brand new sneakers, and like the sound the ball makes when it hits the ground.
Sneakers in the gym.
Sneakers squeaking. Yeah, the ball going through the net, like all those things I love. And so the passion comes from that, because once you have that love, you just want to be a part of this thing all the time.
So everything I saw, whether it was TV shows, whether it was books I read, people I talked to, everything was done to try to learn how to become a better basketball player. That point of view, then literally the world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft. Footwork of the opposition, looking at the emotion of the opposition, their tendencies, their weaknesses, and all that stuff, understanding the momentum of the game, how to create momentum shifts, where momentum shifts come from, all this sort of stuff. Industries, looking at conductors, looking at writers, looking at actors, and how they get into character, and then how do they keep themselves in that mental space. So looking at different industries, looking at nature itself, and learning from that, and how you can incorporate that into the game. Man, it's a lot of studying. Read a certain coverage or something like that. I mean, a lot of that comes from the pre-work and understanding what their defensive package is, and how to put teammates in certain situations. So for example, if you look at players nowadays that are charged with taking game-winning shots, or making game-winning decisions, and you look at it. So it's all that pre-work. So do you understand the business? Is it a business that you can help in some form or fashion? What are the barriers of entry to that business? And then the entrepreneurs themselves, the company itself, right? Do they have a culture that you believe is sustainable? Are these leaders people that you believe in? Are they people that are obsessives? And in turn, have they created a culture of obsessiveness? So I tend to look at those 4 factors, and that's it. With our children is that, you know, Pops is working hard. This is the level of attention to detail you need to have in everything you do. So it's setting the example. And I go to practice and I'd train, and you know, I'd play the game, and you know, I'd come home and I'd be sore and I'd be tired. And she wants to go swimming, she wants me to take her to the park, she wants to just jump on my back, or whatever the case may be. You can't say, I'm too tired, I'm going to lay down. That's not fair. She don't know what the hell's going on, right?
Use sports as the greatest metaphor for life. And if we feel like if we can teach kids how to deal with anxiety, how to deal with pressure, how to deal with failure, how to deal with success through sport, then in turn it helps them to become better people, right? And so like if you're struggling with something, if your kid's struggling with a bully at school or struggling with taking tests because the pressure is just too much, how do you practice that? Like as a father, you can go to your daughter and your son and say, okay, you know, work your hardest, don't worry about the end result. But those are just words, aren't they? Right? They have to physically put themselves, emotionally put themselves in that same situation over and over to really be able to understand how to deal with it. And what we're saying is that sports does that for you. So now through sport, when you practice every day and you're playing these games and you have these emotional challenges, you get used to figuring out how to navigate yourself through.
I feel good about myself if I wasn't doing everything I could to be the best version of myself. If I felt like I left anything on the table, it would eat away at me. I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror. And so the reason why I can retire now and be completely comfortable about it, because I know that I've done everything I could to be the best basketball player I could be. You're not cheating anybody but yourself. He's going to be he's not going to reach his full potential because he's been taking these little shortcuts that just add up. And you can't let whatever you're doing at that moment is what you're doing at that moment. You know, it's like that's where the obsessiveness is having the attention to detail for the action that you are performing at the time you're performing it. Losing to the Celtics in the finals of 2008, I mean, that was tough. In the hotel room after we lost, just thinking to myself, I may never win another championship. Like, I might have just, like, this is it. It's too hard to get back here. Maybe it's not in the cards to win another one. And so I go through that night of being mad. And then the next morning I wake up and I start thinking, nah, I gotta fix this. So where did it go wrong? Why did we lose? Like, we weren't tough enough. Okay, we weren't tough enough. Whose responsibility is that to make the team tough? It's mine. All right, so now I have to start figuring out how I'm gonna lead this team differently so to make sure that when we get to the finals the next time, we're tough and ready for this challenge. And you know, that's how you bounce back from those moments. But every kid, every person, right? But if you break it down into sections and just one foot in front of the other, one step at a time, next thing you know, you're at the top of the mountain. Coming back from my Achilles, I came back from the Achilles and I was fine. And then the next year I fractured my knee, right? It's like, oh, here we go again. Come back from that next year, tear my shoulder. Here we go again, right? But if I looked at those things in totality, it'd be depressing. But if I look at it as just the facts, this is it happened. Can't do anything about it. It happened. Now what are you gonna do? One step at a time.
Achilles?
No.
Never.
No. Well, no. Why? Right? Because you know, as time goes on, I'm sitting there, 70, 80 years old, and I'm going to be wondering if I could have come back from this injury. I don't want to wonder. I want to find out.
We got to get to that 60-point game.
I want to see, man.
We got to get to that game.
Yeah, if the faces ourselves. Actually, you know, I think it's not anything that's external or anything that's superficial. I think the greatest fear you face is yourself, because you know, we all have dreams, and it's very scary sometimes to accept the dream that you have, and it's scarier still to say, okay, I want that. It's scary because you're afraid that if you put your heart and soul into it and you fail, then how are you going to feel about yourself, right? So being fearless means putting yourself out there and going for it. No matter what, go for it. Not for anybody else, but for yourself.